to jump in, first of all. And I mean, I think from the get-go, you came in with this idea that the EU was not a place that you wanted, a structure you wanted to see.
Well, I've always been interested in politics, even as a kid. Well, I remember I was like 7, 8 years old, and I used to watch these debates in the Bundestag, and I just loved it, the way they came back and forth, and they were, some serious they inflicted upon each other, and I just fascinated by that, getting I also remember, it was like I was 9 or 10 years old. We lived close by to the Eastern German border, so we would pick up their TV signals. And religiously, I would watch Black Channel every Monday night. I'm on at 8:15, and it was pretty much scenes in and comment on it. For example, there was like a festival, and people were standing in line to get a bratwurst. And then their spin was, even in Western Germany, people are standing in line for food, and they may not get food, right? So fascinating, even back then, how you can take facts and spin it in such a way that it will. And then there was the year suffering crisis in the United States, and the devastating effects it had on all economies around the world. And I was like, what is going on? So we did a little research. The kids were kind of like in a place now where I did not have to do everything for them anymore. And I guess once you start going down that rabbit hole, there is no going back. And I've always voted for the Christian Democratic Party in Germany and the Libertarian Party. You have 2 votes in Germany. And in 2005, I still did so. But 2009, I could no longer vote for them. I voted invalid. But that political homelessness is what I call it, that I experienced. I would have never thought that it would get to me, but it did. Not knowing who I was represented by anymore, not knowing, who would be my voice in politics anymore. That really was a horrible feeling. So in 2013, I heard on TV a new party being founded. And I was like, whoa, what is this? EU skeptics, Euro skeptics. So I turned off TV, researched the party. I joined the party, filled out an application for membership. And it was actually an act of pure self-defense, becoming a member of a party and getting involved myself. Because the people I had trusted with to do that for me, I could no longer trust. So I decided to do it myself.
So on that note, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
It's just we have been right so far. And the people are beginning to realize that. So any party that kind of criticizes government, questions the narrative, questions the current thing, is considered to be far right, or, even Nazis, or, all these negative connotations. It is really, as soon as you start advocating for the people, which kind of is a job of an elected representative, as soon as you do that, of course, you will have to take an opposition to, I call them globalitarian misanthropists. There is a conflict of interest. And then they will throw at you whatever they have to, possibly prevent people from even listening to you, So that's kind of like how it's working. No, actually, when you look at my party's program, it says pretty much what it did in the program of the Christian Democrats, the former Conservative Party in Germany, and what it said in the program of the Libertarian Party, which is the Free Democratic Party, something like that. So we just stuck by our convictions and what their positions were like 10, 15, 20 years ago.
I'm thinking back to this graphic that Elon Musk popularized at one point, which was that he kind of stayed in one place as just the left shifted really far left. Is that right? What you think happened here? Or?
Well, yeah. Looking at the Christian Democrats in Germany, and Chancellor Merkel, she was, the head of that party. Who would have thought that the former Conservative Party would pretty much steal the Greens or to steal their topics from them? So it was that party that shut down all nuclear power plants in Germany, because of something that happened at the other end of the world. And just thinking, the German nuclear power plants, they were top notch in terms of security. The facilities and all of the things we made sure that they were safe. Right now, we shut them all down, like I said, because of something that happened at the other end of the world. And we're buying now the nuclear power from France and Poland, and which are not up to the security standards that the German nuclear power plants had. Then you look at the marriage for all, right? It was the Christian Democratic Party actually kind of passing that in the Bundestag. So it's like they really took over from what the Greens were advocating for. But what they are saying about my party, apparently we have moved one notch more to the right, and we have moved to the right so many times. I guess we have been coming out at the left side again, right? So it's insane. But it's a narrative. It's to defame us, and it's to get people not to listen to us. That's what this is about.
What would you say is the most controversial platform position of the AFD?
Oh gosh, where do I start? No, they're bashing us for our stance on immigration, which actually isn't immigration. It's an illegal invasion at this point. I mean, we're talking about millions and millions of people here. So they're bashing us for this. Obviously, that's all racist and the transgender madness. So it's pretty much whatever the narrative is, and we just pretty much just look at human beings as they are, and we have to make sure that our environment, our world, our societies are for human beings as they are. That is pretty much the problem with the left. Always, they think of this utopia, this perfect world, which actually is a dystopia, but the human being does not fit into that utopia. So what they have to do is they have to change the human being. They have to create this new human being that will fit in their, whatever utopia they're dreaming up.
Transhumanism comes to mind, right,
well,
as you're talking about this.
You actually don't even have to go there. I mean, to something very basic. Okay, so there's all this talk about xenophobia, right? So people who are afraid of strangers, they're like despicable racists. But I mean, where did that come from? And looking at this, we literally raise and teach our children to be afraid of strangers. Why do we do this? To protect our children. Because our children do not have the means to distinguish, does this person mean well? Or does this person, will it harm me? What is that? It's a mechanism of survival, actually. So now as they grow older, they learn how to distinguish. They learn how to read, faces and all of that. But that does not necessarily hold true when we're talking about people that come from other cultures. We don't know their traditions, how they go about doing things. So to be afraid of strangers is actually a positive mechanism of survival. Take the next thing, loving your own more than others. That is not despicable. No, that is how it was ensured that the human race is still here even, because otherwise we would have been extinct. So can you really blame a mother for loving her own child more than the neighbor's child? Of course you can't. Does that mean that she hates the neighbor's child? No, it doesn't mean that at all. Does it mean that she won't feed the neighbor's child if the neighbor's child is in need? No, it doesn't mean that at all. But when it comes down to making a choice, will my child survive or the neighbor's child survive? She will always pick her own child, of course. Mm-hmm. And if that was not fused within our DNA instincts, then we would have been extinct a long time ago. So these are just very basic things that what human beings are about. There is lots more, of course, but yeah, it's like trying to change and shift that.
Well, there's also this issue, and of course, AFD and actually more and more people in Germany have been accused of being xenophobic. There's been this huge influx, right, from sub-Saharan Africa, from from many places. I mean, like you said, millions and millions of people. And I think the concern is that has, unless those people are assimilating to the culture that is there, that can create a huge problem. And in fact, one of the things that I'm thinking about now is these, huge Free Palestine protests that we've been seeing in the last, however, since October 7th. And so, I think in London, it was 500,000 people. And what do you think of that?
Well, it's actually quite interesting to have seen that because all of the, elected officials and politicians, they are now, what? We imported anti-Semitism? And I'm like, yeah, you think? So it's like, yeah, this is what's been going on, right? And now they're seeing it. They're flustered. How could that have happened? Well, I mean, if you import millions and millions of people from cultures that have deep-rooted anti-Semitism, that is what you get. That's exactly what you will get. In Germany, they're already spinning it in a way to shift the blame away from those that are actually out on the streets, literally calling for the genocide of Jews, to shift the blame, take it away from them, and once again blame the Western societies. So in Germany, they came up with this narrative, well, it is not their anti-Semitism, it's our anti-Semitism, because we have failed to integrate them. Seriously? This is how you spin this now?
Well, was there an effort to integrate? Because I mean, it's almost like, at least in Canada and America to some extent, with this sort of idea of multiculturalism, it was like, it was seen as a racist or some kind of anathema to even think of that. Like how could you try to assimilate them to our Western culture? Right?
I mean, first of all, the ones that a society wants to integrate, the condition on that is, or the prerequisite would be the people wanting to be integrated, right? And I will have to say, in the 60s and 70s, there were a lot of Turkish people coming, and they wanted to work in Germany, and they did work in Germany, right? And the idea was actually they would come and stay for some time, work, and then go back. Well, that didn't happen, right? But now we're seeing one, and it's almost like you have these parallel societies. Why should they integrate? On top of all of that, we are being taught to hate our own way of life, to hate our culture. Why would anyone want to integrate in a society that hates itself? It's insane. It's absurd. On diversity and kindness, not destroying our liberal and free societies.
Christine Anderson, it's such a pleasure to have had you on.
Well, thanks for having me. I had a really good time talking to you. Thank you.